Federal Drive is presented by GEHA, Government Employees Health Association, proudly providing health and dental benefits to federal employees and their families. Visit GEHA.com.
Some adjustments to financial security, retirement payments, and insurance options for feds are in the beginning stages of consideration in Congress. 4 recent bills that House and Senate lawmakers have introduced over the last few weeks aim to tackle a range of benefit issues across government. Here with more details is Federal News Network's Drew Friedman. Drew, thanks for joining me.
Nice to be with you today, Terry.
Let's talk about these bills as they go through. One of them looks at new insurance options for federal employees. Tell us more about that effort.
Well, this has really been a long-time effort from Congresswoman Eleanor Holmes Norton of D.C. She's been introducing this same legislation for, I think, about 8 years in a row now. And what this would do is create a short-term disability insurance program for federal employees, provide that optional insurance to them if, for example, they have a short-term injury or if they have to, for a short period of time, take care of a family member, or it can also be applied in the case of the birth, adoption, or if you're fostering a child. So essentially what this bill would do, and it's simply called the Federal Employee Short-Term Disability Insurance Act, is allow federal employees to opt into this program that would be run by the Office of Personnel Management. Employees would pay 100% of the premiums for their short-term disability insurance here and can receive those benefits for up to 1 year. This is something, again, as I mentioned, that Congresswoman Norton has introduced several times in a row. It hasn't gotten a lot of traction, but this being her last term in Congress, I think she's trying to make one final push here. She says that a lot of private sector companies offer this type of insurance to their employees and that she believes federal employees should have the same access there. There hasn't been a lot of movement yet because it was just introduced about 2 weeks ago. But this is one that's been referred to the House Oversight and Government Reform Committee for further consideration. So we'll see if this seems to move more maybe than it has in the past.
So that's at least taken one step forward. There's another recent bill that seeks to protect feds' credit scores during shutdown. Tell us about how this came about.
Well, the inspiration here, if you want to call it that, was the DHS shutdown earlier this year, where you had a lot of federal employees who had to go without paychecks for multiple pay periods in a row. This is what senators who introduced the bill said, was that in speaking specifically with TSA workers, that many of them were facing really significant financial difficulties. And that was not only affecting just their current situation during the shutdown, but that because they had to miss credit payments and other bills payments, it was having much more downstream and long-term effects for these employees as well. So the idea here is, even though pay is restored, there's still some impacts later down the road. The senators, and this is a Democrat-led bill in the Senate, they said that the idea here behind their new bill would be to protect federal employees' credit histories from any potential negative impacts during a government shutdown. So federal employees who aren't receiving pay and have to miss out on a credit card payment, that would not affect their credit score or credit history. And then that would continue for the entirety of the government shutdown and then an additional 30 days after the shutdown ends. So just giving a little bit of cushion there for employees to try to make up some missed payments that they might incur. So this bill was introduced in early May, so after the end of the DHS shutdown, but assuming that there will almost certainly be a shutdown at some point in the future again, this is the goal here is to try to help employees a little bit through that process.
Some lawmakers are also looking to correct recent pension errors for certain federal retirees. What's the situation there?
This one is also related to the shutdown, this time from the shutdown last fall. And what happened then was, just for some context, is uniformed service retirees, the vast majority of them can continue getting their pension payments throughout a shutdown uninterrupted from the Defense Department's Military Retirement Fund. But lawmakers, this is a bipartisan bill, and these lawmakers found in speaking with some retirees that there was a loophole of sorts where from two specific agency components, these retirees in the uniformed services were not getting their pensions throughout the shutdown last fall. This applies to the Commissioned Officer Corps at NOAA, as well as the U.S. Public Health Service Commissioned Corps. And that impacted about 8,000 of these retired service members who, unlike many of their other retired colleagues, were not able to continue getting their pension payments during the shutdown. So essentially what this bill would do is correct that error and make those employees whole for any payments they might have missed out on, so that in future government shutdowns, they'd be able to get their payments from that retirement fund, just as their other colleagues would.
And one other bill that would expand the 2022 PACT Act. What are lawmakers looking into there?
Well, just for a quick refresher on the PACT Act itself from 2022, the idea was to, with that, which did become law, was to create a presumption of exposure to certain illnesses like certain types of cancer for veterans who were exposed while serving overseas to toxic burn pits, which have been shown to be linked to a lot of illnesses. So with the passage of that, veterans do have the presumption of exposure for those illnesses if they were serving overseas at the time. This new bill finds that civilian employees like law enforcement officers, national security personnel, and some others who were also serving overseas alongside these veterans also faced, of course, the same exposure. So the idea here is to give them that same presumption of exposure and link, their service overseas to having the potential to contract those illnesses. The lawmakers who introduced this bill, again called the Renewing Our PACT Act, they say that once those workers end up getting cancer or some other type of illness, it's difficult to prove the link between that and then the previous exposure, which could have been many years earlier. So the idea here is to simply expand the PACT Act to cover them as well.
And so, Drew, with these four bills that at least have been introduced, what's the prospect? Where do they go from here?
Some of them, I believe, obviously the bipartisan ones are probably going to have a little bit more likelihood of advancing further. But it seems like, it could be a range. I think the ones that are shutdown related might get a little bit more support or more pressure to be able to pass those, just because we know those have been really impacting federal employees and retirees recently. So, we'll see where it goes from here if committees start marking these up. But certainly it seems that there's a range of benefits-related issues that lawmakers are trying to tackle here.
That's Federal News Network's Drew Friedman. Drew, thanks for sharing these with us today.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me, Terry.
You can find her full story at federalnewsnetwork.com.